Ford is just about to, in fact, right now, it's building its first factory in the United States in 53 years. Some people are, well, they're very excited about this progress, and others are angry. They believe Ford should pay back some of the $800 million in funds they were given, seeing as they've now fired a lot of the employees they were given that money in order to hire. This is an interesting and delicate situation right now for Ford, and I think a lot is going on behind closed doors that we don't actually know about. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and welcome back everyone else. Now, today, I've just bought a little bit of stock in both BYD and Tesla. I am very convinced right now that the value is there in these companies. I mean, Ford themselves have just said that they need to emulate Tesla and BYD. Vertical integration is basically the only way of making a profit in the future on EVs. Of course, there's more to it than that, but that's the key. Now, if you want to buy shares in BYD and in Tesla, and you're living in Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, or in the United Kingdom, you can use the app that I use for it. It's called Stake. Make a US account on there and you get a free stock. So you just put in my code. I'll put my code in the description below. Get a free stock for basically doing nothing, just opening an account. And then, of course, in the future, if you wanted to buy any of those stocks, you could do so. The dinner rush is on at Sugar's Diner in Stanton, Tennessee, the only restaurant in this town of 452 people. They've got a monopoly on the market. Business is booming thanks to Ford Motor Company's massive electric pickup truck factory. I call it their university because there's buildings sprawled out all over the place. This is an enormous facility. There's so much land here. You could build enough factories on this area of land for probably every automotive company in North America. But anyway, the chief cook here at this restaurant is desperately seeking extra staff now that she's extended hours, added a day of operation, and sent a new food truck to the construction site. This is probably a good business to be in, the restaurant business, if you're down the road from Ford's new massive factory which has been built. The owner said, "I don't know how much more I can do," scribbling orders for deep fried catfish with her blue gloved hands. People are excited, but other people retired here looking for the quiet life, the country life with no crime. They're very worried that all of that is going to change. Now, personally, I plan on visiting this restaurant in October of next year. If it's still there, I'm assuming it will be when I check out these facilities. I'll be there for the Fully Charged show, which is going to be on in California in October of next year. Make sure you get your tickets. I'll put a link in the description below to the show. And I'd love to meet as many of you as possible at that show. And you know what? Maybe we can go and tour these facilities while I'm there in October next year if you're interested. That would be awesome. Change is coming to Stanton, about 45 miles northeast of Memphis. Ford and South Korea's SK, which are the battery company Ford have a joint venture with, broke ground in September on the sprawling 6 square mile manufacturing complex that is due to begin building electric F-Series pickup trucks and the batteries that power them in only 3 years' time. Known as Blue Oval City, the $6 billion compound will eventually team with nearly 6,000 workers and spit out 350,000 plug-in electric trucks per year from Ford's first all-new automotive assembly plant in more than half a century. Now, eventually, I believe this plant will probably be making about 1 million vehicles per year. Blue Oval City is a linchpin in CEO Jim Farley's $50 billion plan to build 2 million EVs per year in 2026, up from about 63,000 last year. That's a big difference. Ford's push to take on Tesla, which now controls around 3/4 of the EV market in North America, relies on the factory's success. And remember, Ford have some pretty stiff competition. Tesla, of course, but General Motors are coming as well. But the project has rattled Michigan officials, and I spoke about this a little while ago, who fear that Ford's center of gravity is shifting south, and for good reason. Ford planned to fire thousands of staff working in their gasoline-powered factories. Many of those staff were hired as a result of Michigan giving Ford $800 million in order to subsidize these staff and build the company's base in Michigan. But now that's changing. Rural Tennessee offered Ford plentiful land, potentially lower labor costs, that's key, than the Midwest, and $2.4 billion in state government incentives, equal to about $414,000 for every single job at Blue Oval City, according to a Bloomberg investigation. The company also plans 2 SK innovation battery plants in Kentucky and a research center in Atlanta. Yeah. It's safe to say Ford is moving away from Michigan pretty much permanently. Ford executives say they aren't abandoning their Michigan roots, but Blue Oval City has been designed for growth, massive growth. The vast 3,600-acre site is 3 times the size of the mighty Rouge factory complex Henry Ford built near Detroit a century ago for the Model A, and that today builds gasoline and electric versions of the F-150 pickup. Farley sees EV demand in the US now accounting for fewer than 1 in 10 sales, surging 90% annually through 2026, more than double the industry's forecasts. I mean, I personally am even more bullish than Farley is. I believe that around 80% of vehicle sales in the United States in 2030 will be electric. So yes, if Ford isn't going to make EVs in Michigan, it won't have many staff there in the future. We wanted to pick a site that could grow with us, said Lisa Drake, Ford's Vice President of EV Industrialization, in an interview. If there's anything we've learned about our EV strategy as we're retooling all our plants to grow as fast as we can, it's that we needed to make sure we had the space to grow. Ford Shift South also unnerves union officials. The UAW has no guarantee it will represent Blue Oval City's employees, who must vote to accept the union. Auto workers in Tennessee, a right-to-work state, have already rejected organizing drives by the UAW at Nissan Motor Company and Volkswagen Group factories. So there's a good chance that the UAW won't get a foothold at Ford's new Blue Oval City. UAW members are rightly concerned that automakers will take advantage of the EV transition to de-unionize. UAW Vice President Cindy Estrada wrote in an essay last month that she co-authored with Raymond Cruz. More and more automakers and manufacturers have also been funneling investment to the South, where corporations and politicians have staunchly opposed union rights for workers. I mean, what does that mean? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts on that. Drake said Ford has not yet talked to the UAW about organizing the new workers since they haven't been hired yet. But she noted that Ford has a long history with the union and employs more UAW workers than any other automaker in the United States. But that could all change. For now, the 11,000 jobs Ford and SK are creating in Tennessee and Kentucky don't compare at all, really, to the 45,000 Ford employees in Michigan, according to the Center for Automotive Research in Ann Arbor. And the truth is, Ford has admitted that many of those workers are going to go. It's inevitable, Farley has said. If they get a few more wins down in the Southeast, then you could say maybe the center of gravity is shifting, the CEO of CAR said in an interview. But ultimately, the cars are still designed in Detroit, she said. Well, the thing is, the Ford Ranger, guess where that's designed? In Melbourne, Australia. Guess how many staff we have still working at Ford? Now, we used to have a Ford manufacturing plants in Australia, in fact, in a few places in Australia. Ford had a huge amount of manufacturing in Australia, so did General Motors. Guess what? They don't anymore. Yes, people still design the Ford Ranger, but how many staff do you think they need to design a vehicle? Not that many. At this point, Blue Oval City is a big dig, with thousands of construction workers boring deep holes for foundation footings using gargantuan drills that would look at home in a Mad Max movie. Could accommodate a compact car. More than 6,300 holes, each of them big enough to accommodate a car, dot the landscape. In the small towns nearby, residents view the future manufacturing colossus with hope and trepidation. Take Brownsville, Tennessee, a town of 9,800 people whose chief claim to fame is being Tina Turner's childhood home. Signs welcoming Ford fill the storefronts, and a newly painted mural honoring the automaker adorns a building wall. Obviously, these communities believe Ford is going to bring immense wealth and employment. Basically, it's going to take it away from Michigan and bring it down here to Tennessee. Meanwhile, in the center of Brownsville's town square stands a soaring monument topped with a Confederate soldier and bearing the inscription, honoring the Confederate dead of Haywood County. John Ashworth, a retired airline worker, hopes the Ford plant will provide opportunities for the area's black community and maybe bring Brownsville's black and white halves closer together. Working at the town's corner drugstore in his youth, Ashworth was required to eat lunch in the basement, away from white diners. Racial divisions continue to be part of local life, he claims. This community has largely segmented itself. It's either white or it's black, said Ashworth, 79, over lunch with a friend in a restored 1950s diner. The kind of place he said probably wouldn't have welcomed him as a young man, but it does today. Ford Motor Company is not only going to cause black and whites to interact more, it's going to bring other people from other parts of the world here, and that will be good for everybody. However, there are definitely some reservations in these towns. Ford has deployed Blue Oval City plant manager Cal Kearns into the community to speak to business groups, job applicants, and allay fears about the changes coming to the town. The Australian native actually opened and operated Ford factories in India, Thailand, and China, and he's certain he can mesh Ford's way of doing business with rural Tennessee. I hired people in India from villages who had never worked in a factory ever before, or even owned a car, Kern said, but the plant, it always ran as a team. At Livingston's Soda Fountain and Grill in Brownsville, the excitement and the anxiety over the change that is coming is the talk of the crowd. As you can imagine, a lot of people don't like it, but I'm 100% for it, said Ernestine Tinsley, a Stanton retiree who used to work at a Sharp electronics plant in Memphis. My grandchildren are already talking about getting a job there, but others are expressing reservations. Farmers are concerned about what it's going to do to the land, to the ground, to the environment, says Marcia Watson, 53, who says Ford's arrival has already driven up prices of everything from land to groceries and led to more traffic congestion. We're all from small towns, said her husband, Danny, 70. We don't like it to get too big, too quick. And that is sure to happen. I agree. This town will be enormous. It's going to grow in size, I think, by a factor of 10 over the next 5 to 10 years. If you're looking to buy real estate and make a profit on it, that's probably the place to go right now. Because frankly, a lot of the jobs that are currently in Michigan are going to move to Tennessee. That, my friends, is just the reality that Ford and North America are facing right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.